Hello, everyone. You have entered the battle phase. It is I, the Midnight Bard, your favorite bard. And oh, baby, baby, how was I supposed to know that something wasn't right? He's a genie in a bottle. You gotta rub him the right way, Gamma.
Oh, yeah. Rub me the right way, baby.
And if you want to be his lover, you gotta get with his friends, Sacro.
That's mostly true, but,
Welcome to the battle. Welcome to the Battle Phase podcast, everybody. This is the podcast where we recommend manga and anime to each other, and then after we've watched it or read it, we come together to discuss it, discuss the themes, the characters, everything that there is to talk about. And so today, if you can't tell by our introductions, we're talking about idols. We're talking about Oshi No Ko, Aka Akasaka's second work after, the work that came out immediately after Kaguya-sama. It's not his second work. He did stuff before that.
What I gotta say is, welcome to Aki Akasaka Week.
Akasaka Week.
We're happy to have
you. Yeah. So, as you guys can probably tell from my introduction, I haven't listened to pop music since the early 2000s, late 1990s.
You were making callbacks to when I was an infant. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, during that time, I don't even think I was in high school. I think at that time I was still kind of in middle school. I haven't listened to pop music in a hot minute. I mean, that's not right. I know a little Taylor Swift. I know a little Katy Perry.
I was going to say Taylor Swift, man. Everybody knows a little Taylor Swift.
You know what's funny is I was trying to explain the plot of Oshi No Ko to a friend, and I was struggling to explain it. The normie friend that I told you guys about. Mm-hmm. So I was trying to explain it to him because he's a fan of Kaguya-sama. So I was like, okay, so let me put it to you this way. And then I start trying to figure out the best way to describe Ai Hoshino, and I couldn't think of it. So I was like, okay, what if there was a female version of Michael Jackson? What would you call that? And he said, Taylor Swift? And I was like, I feel like that's not exactly right, but let's go with that. So I'm explaining to him the plot of Oshi No Ko as if it happened to Taylor Swift. So it was something, man. Yeah,
I would watch that anime. Taylor Swift has children reborn from her. Well, that's getting into the plot stuff. But yes. Yeah, Taylor Swift would have to have kids first.
Yeah. So let's do what we normally do. But first, a couple of housekeeping matters. Be sure to follow us on our socials to join in the conversation. You can find us on Twitter/X at The Battle Phase. And so come join the conversation. Tell us what you'd like for us to read or watch next. And check us out on our YouTube channel, Gamers Playing Games TV, where we've recently decided to undergo a challenge where we will be playing every game available on Steam. That's right, every single one. Will we ever get through it? Who knows?
But is it going to be fun? So it'll be fun.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. That sounds like I've never thought to myself, I wonder if I could finish the entire library of Steam. But, that was Sacro's brain baby, and, here we are.
I don't know if finish is a strong word you're using there.
We're going to play them.
Yeah,
we're going to play them.
My goal is to have one account on Steam that owns and has played every single game available on Steam. That's the goal. So I got to make a whole new account. That's literally all it does. We'll figure it out later.
Oh, hey. Gamma,
what's up?
Is Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel on Steam?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's at least one video or one section of a video. There you go.
That's at least one video, baby.
There's actually two Yu-Gi-Oh! Games on Steam.
Yeah,
there's also Duel Links, yeah.
Master Duel.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Is Legacy of the Duelist not on Steam? I thought it was.
Those are more of but those are mobile games.
No, the Duel Links is the mobile game. Legacy of the Duelist is kind of like that one, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it had a story plot, so it had like a story campaign and stuff like that. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So yeah, Oshi no Ko. Let's go ahead and and get started discussing it with the way that we normally do things by discussing the plot. So if you haven't seen or caught up with season 1 of Oshi no Ko, spoiler warning. You know, be aware that we're going to be discussing the events of the first season at length. Gamma took notes.
Lots of notes.
There we go.
Lots of
So
notes.
let's talk about Oshi no Ko. So this is a story by Aka Akasaka. The artist was actually not him. It was one of his assistants that was hired on because midway through Kaguya-sama, Aka Akasaka decided, you know what? I actually don't like drawing that much. So let me see. Who is the artist in Oshi no Ko?
It'll list it as Aki. Like, I've looked it up before because I was trying to figure it out as well.
No kidding.
It lists him, yeah.
Illustrated by Mango Yokari. Yeah. So written by Aka Akasaka, illustrated by Mango Yokari. And so, yeah, so basically it is the story of the children of the most popular idol in the history of Japan, Ai Hoshino. Ai Hoshino gets pregnant at the age of 16 while she's a member of the popular idol group Bikamachi. She wants to stay out of the public eye because in Japan, idols are considered practically sacred, and if it looks like you're if you fall outside of like their standard for what a perfect idol should be, it's bad for you ultimately. Your fans just basically turn on you. It's weird. Idol culture over there is really weird. So because of that, Ai Hoshino kind of steps out away from the public eye, goes into kind of like this, I don't want to say rural, but like this small town hospital. Where she's going to go through the process of, giving birth to her kids, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's where she meets two characters, which will become, well, she doesn't meet both of them, but she comes into contact with two characters that will become very important later on. One is a girl who is...
She's terminally ill.
She's terminally ill with that disease. What's her name again?
Her name's Serena.
Serena.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so she is terminally ill at that hospital, and she is Ai Hoshino's biggest fan. As a terminally ill girl, Ai Hoshino has given her hope and has given her a reason to keep fighting for life. However, she ultimately loses that fight and passes away from her illness. The other person is the doctor who will be looking to her, who will be providing care for her as she goes through her pregnancy, and his name is
Goro.
There we go. Just testing you guys. I actually didn't keep up with their names after they died.
What kind of doctor was he, Bard?
I don't remember.
He's an OBGYN.
Why was he if that's the case, why was he taking care of the terminally ill girl, or was that not at all a thing? Was he just hanging out with her?
He just works at the hospital she's at, and he spends time with her.
Okay. So he's an OBGYN, and, he kind of got into idols because of the terminally ill girl. And they struck up kind of like this really wholesome friendship type thing where he hung out with her and talked about idols kind of in a way to kind of like bolster her spirits. And his presence, it feels to me like it kind of like made a big impact. But ultimately, as he's going home one day, he's confronted by a crazed fan of Ai Hoshino who's demanding to know where she is. And he stands up to this crazed fan because he realizes nobody should know that she's here. And the fact that you know means that somebody told you. So he tries to confront the guy. The guy ultimately stabs him, and he dies. Fast forward, and we find out that both the terminally ill little girl and the doctor have been reincarnated as the twin children of Ai Hoshino. So now the doctor, going by the name Aqua, and the terminally ill girl, going by the name Ruby, are the children of Ai Hoshino. They live very happily with her for a few years until that crazed fan finds her and murders her. The story from this point kind of takes a weird turn in that we're following Aqua and Ruby, as they're almost following in the footsteps of their late mother, but at the same time maintaining the memories they had from their previous lives. Ruby almost seems motivated to live out the dream that she couldn't fulfill while she was terminally ill, to become an idol like Ai Hoshino, her favorite idol, and Aqua, absolutely taken with Ai and, just absolutely destroyed by the fact that she died, takes up the mantle of an actor as he navigates the institutions of the entertainment industry, trying to piece together who their father was, the man responsible for their birth, but also if he had anything to do with the crazed fan finding Ai Hoshino on 2 separate occasions. So, with that being said, we delve into the entertainment industry, live streamers, idols, actors, content creators, entertainers of all walks of life. And we kind of learn a lot about the way that that's handled over in Japan. So with that said, let's see. We're going to start with Seikro. You were the one who recommended this one to us. I would love to hear your thoughts on Oshi No Ko in general.
Yeah, so this is the first official Seikro episode. So thank you all for coming.
Yay!
I actually recommended this on the We Recommended anime, or episode. So I'm glad you guys watched/read it. It quickly became one of my favorites, which is hard to do in how I consume media. I don't have like favorites usually. I'm just like, oh, I really like this, or I just don't. I'll drop things faster than most people will. So like if one part of a show it irritates me, I just drop it, and that's probably not the best way to go about it. But I have a very limited schedule, I feel like. But Oshi No Ko, like the first episode caught my interest. It told an interesting story.
It was
to me,
a long episode. Like, as a matter of fact, I was gonna say like 75% of my story breakdown just now was probably just the first episode.
100% of it was because you didn't even get to the part where they age up, because the show has a time skip. I sure didn't.
So the show does have a time skip. Yes, at the end of episode 1.
At the end, after Ai's stabbed, and we go through this whole motion because she dies with Aqua on her, basically, and he's trying to keep Ruby away from it so she doesn't see it, because he's like, hey, I don't want my sister to see our mom just was stabbed to death.
Right.
And they age up. At the end, you see them as teenagers. To be fair, I didn't know they were actually going to age up. I thought the entire show just took place as because I knew nothing about the show when I came in.
Okay.
And she's on the cover, so I was like, all right, cool, it's all about her.
Yeah, it was 100% a surprise to me too. I honestly thought she would be the main character, and it almost felt like she wasn't framed to be that, when you really think about it. I thought it was going to end up being like a family thing, like the mother, the popular idol, and her kids, like the children of the most popular idol. Yeah. But then ultimately, no, she's just completely written out of the story. It is like, oh, where is this going?
She makes appearances in season 2.
Yeah, like kind of.
Spoiler.
Kinda, yeah. Yeah. I mean, she's still dead. Spoiler.
Like, spoiler alert.
Gamma. In what chapter did she die?
1. No, it wasn't 1. It was at the end of like volume 1. So it was like, it would have been like chapter 10 almost.
But because I'm trying to figure out if they told the story in the same way, because Gamma mentioned something earlier where he thought the kids might be the reincarnations of them. So like, does it not tell you right away? Because in the anime, it cuts to them being born. And we know immediately.
This is the thing, though. It starts off just like Bard mentioned. Like, okay, OBGYN Goro befriends Serena, and he explains, this is how I became Ai's friend, because of her. And then Ai appears as a patient while she's pregnant, saying, oh, well, I'm here. And he's like, oh my God, I cannot fangirl in front of her. I gotta keep it professional.
True.
He did. But by that time, Serena was dead. And that's the thing, though. In the comic, you don't know that she's dead until later on. Until he's reincarnated.
Right. He doesn't tell you?
In the anime, yeah, we learned ahead of time that she's died. That she's dead. where in the manga you kind of learn a little later. That said, I looked it up. Ai Hoshino is stabbed in chapter 9.
Yeah,
Okay, so you get 9 whole books.
That was rough too.
Before she dies.
No, not 9 whole books. This is all within the first volume. So
wait, how are the volumes divided up? Aren't they individual books that make up the volume?
Individual chapters,
Okay,
yes.
so each chapter is a book, right?
I would believe that 10 chapter makes a book, since Bart said it's by the end of the volume 1.
Yeah, so like one volume consists of maybe 9 to 10 chapters.
Yeah, okay. So if I went to Barnes and Nobles and I bought the first book, like because they have all the numbers,
then she would die at the end of that one.
Because that doesn't really make sense for how long the episode was. Because way longer than one chapter.
When I used to think that too. The thing that gets me about that with manga is that it's deceptively long sometimes, that what you can do with it. Because when I came to find out that usually like 12 episodes of manga or 12 episodes of anime is typically in the neighborhood of 5 volumes of manga, it absolutely skewed the way I looked at things. Because I'm like, wow, like it feels to me like 5 volumes go on forever, and it's really only 12 episodes? Really? So yeah, that's where I'm at.
So she dies in the first book then? If you went and pulled the first book off the shelf, she'd die in that one. Yeah, that doesn't make sense because a lot happens, unless they're doing it in the wrong order. Like they kill her off, and then they go back to when they were kids still, and they go back to the future sections, and they go back to when they were kids. Do they do a lot of jumping back and forth?
They have been doing a little bit of jumping back and forward as flashbacks.
So when is the Kana
on the manga? Like there's even an episode of point and like half an episode. So I don't know if they do that also on the anime. Because I had a theory at first, and that half an episode threw that theory out the window.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out like the order, because if the manga and anime are in a different order, then that changes kind of how the story's told. It
might be the case that this is, and this happened with Kaguya-sama too. That like it tells the story pretty much in the same order that it needs to be told. However, certain chapters are sometimes flipped and told earlier or later in the anime.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Assuming. I didn't know how that worked.
Yeah.
I guess I could have picked it up off the shelf. I went to Barnes & Nobles yesterday. I was going to buy them and start collecting them.
You're going to get a rough idea of how the manga is based on the way that I wrote notes. Because I wrote the notes per the chapters of what's happening.
So does he meet Kana in the first book then?
Yes. Yes, he has met
Kana. They
right now on chapter 33, which I'm skimming through right now, they are actually working on their first video. No, actually their second video besides the introduction of Komadashi YouTube channel.
Okay. Wow, that's so much slower.
It might feel that way, but honestly, like it's I don't know. I have to say, from the way that Akasaka writes stories, that it feels like it goes so slow sometimes, but then you realize that you've just marathoned through so much of it when you've read through it. So I don't know if he's just like writing in a really condensed way, or like the story just flows really easily from one beat to another, to the point where it feels like you're reading a lot, but in reality you're just consuming so much.
And I agree with you on that. At first, I was going to go like, I don't want to read a book that feels like my real life. Since we're all content creators here, I was like, I don't want to read that. But then the plot twist was like, oh, hey, by the way, this is a sci-fi manga. I'm like, huh?
A little bit.
Yeah, they reincarnate, and you're the tech, and the guy that reincarnates Goro is pretty much finding the reason why he died. And I'm like, okay, I could get behind this.
Yeah, there's drama, there's mystery. It feels weird because typically when you watch like an idol anime, and hot take, we've already discussed one here on this podcast, which was Bocchi the Rock.
Yay!
Yeah, like, I'm sorry, man, but Bocchi the Rock is basically an idol anime. Like, you can't convince me otherwise. But like so, looking at Bocchi the Rock, looking at K-On, looking at the other one that I watched, which was Love Live Sunshine. Typically, those animes are written in a way that's like, there will be comedy, everyone will be happy. Like there's nothing you can't do if you follow your dreams. But Oshi No Ko took such a weird turn, man, where it was like, oh, yeah, no, the entertainment industry is ugly and it will hurt you. And I was like, oh, wow.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. That's why I recommended it initially, because I know you want to be an actor. That's a big plot line is the acting portion of, the world, really.
It got
but they do focus more on how you have to be attractive.
It does get really real. Like, I mean, like a lot of the things that Aqua has gone through just trying to get to where he's trying to get to are things that I've been through. And, like the some of the things that have happened to some other of the characters who are trying to get into these positions are things that I'm actively trying to avoid. So, it's kind of one of those things where I'm like, oh God, like you're seeing so much of yourself in this, and it's like, and not just in the acting aspect, but also like we have content creator characters, right? Like Mencho. And it's just kind of like, and like live streamers like PA and you're just kind of like, I know all of this. Like this is all things that I've had to deal with. Like, oh, are we trying to get viewers? Okay, well then you have to do this. You have to find your niche. You have to do the thing. You have to be consistent. You have to, like, and it's so much. And you can piggyback. Followers from. Onto your account if you do collabs with other accounts and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it gets that real. I was like, damn, he's saying the facts right there.
Yeah, so it was kind of like I was really surprised. And you know what? Surprised isn't really like the word. I was very pleased is what it is, because initially I was going to say I was really surprised with how in depth it was, but this is a work by Aka Akasaka. And the man seems to really, really love getting to the nitty-gritty of just stuff, right? Because we can tell from when we watched Kaguya-sama, and I don't know if you guys could tell, but I could, that he will take a subject and he will just like delve into the absolute depths of what it is and how you get there and what about it makes it great. Like a couple of examples: the volleyball episode. What makes a great serve? You got to keep your eyes open. But what in addition to the serve do you have to do? You have to block. You have to like this and that and so on and so forth. We also have like the ramen episode. Let's get down to the nitty gritty of like how ramen culture is. And we have like the one that I think is the most clear of it, the rap episode. Well, what about rap makes rap great? And so it's like Aka Akasaka loves to just like really dive deep into these things, find out what's fun about it, what makes it great, what makes people like it, and then just like tell you a story based off of everything that he found out. And it feels to me that Oshi No Ko is all of those little things that happen in Kaguya-sama, but taken to an extreme, right? Where he's like, now we're going to be talking about the entertainment industry, and let me tell it to you in every dirty little detail that I have found, from actors to idols to content creators to manga artists. Let me just tell you everything. And it's like, I fucking love this. This man did his research. It shows.
I don't think he went deep enough in the content creator online forum stuff. Because all we have is Memcho, and she doesn't do a lot. Like, she does enough to be like, oh yeah, cool, yeah. She's hiding her age. She's doing this and that. She focuses on her stuff. She doesn't want to be too personal with people. And she only got her gig because she's somewhat known online and she already has a fan base, not because she can actually act or should be on this show. And that's happened a lot. Did not go nearly deep enough about how that kind of content stuff works. I feel like I covered a little bit with not Kana, but Akane later. But I would have loved them to go way deeper, because he does seem to go semi-deep into some of these subjects. I don't think he went deep enough in the volleyball episode either. Like, it was more just a joke than anything else. It was not like, oh, this is what you got to do to be good at volleyball. He's like, all right, this guy sucks at volleyball. Let me show you how to get better.
But
keep your eyes open. Okay.
think the singing episode, because like the singing episode had
Yeah.
like this whole thing of like, you know, like we're gonna talk about notes and scales and so on and so forth, or like the Soren dance, you know, like almost like every episode where Chica had to
I think
teach Shirogane to
the
do a
dance
thing.
one went deep.
Felt
That's
like
'cause it's also a massive Japanese hallmark. So that's probably why it went so deep compared to the other ones.
This isn't something that shows up in the anime, but in the manga, it shows that Aka Akasaka also understands gamer culture. Because in the manga, we have more chapters with Ishigami, and Ishigami is a total gamer bro. And yeah, so like we go places with that. It's so weird, but anyway, like
What does he play?
gosh, like hold on. I want to say Apex, but I can't remember. It's an FPS for sure, but I can't remember if it was Apex or if it was something else. But like they do name it by its official name, and there's a chapter where Ino tries it. It's funny. But anyway, all of this to say that Aka Akasaka doesn't do things halfway, right? Like when he writes a story, it's almost like he creates the world around it to be like, this isn't just a story about characters that live in isolation. The world has things going on in it, you know? And I feel like that's probably one of his biggest strengths as a writer.
I can agree with that. I don't know. This show just kind of grew on me really fast, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really talk about what I thought of the show, actually.
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, I liked it. It was great. It was
That's
cool.
so simple.
That's so simple, man. Tell us
when I like something.
What
I
made
like
you
something.
feel? What made you cry?
I mean, I didn't cry, but I was absolutely crushed when Akane stuff happened.
Yeah,
Because-
the Akane episodes, man.
So essentially, she's getting cyberbullied for her performance on a TV show,
Yep.
which was a terrible show to begin with, honestly.
I mean, yeah, it's your typical Japanese reality TV show, right? You see them all the time.
We found out in season 2 it was based off a manga.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, it was based off a manga by the manga. How far into season 2 did you get?
Not very far. Probably like episode 4.
So we found out
mentioned that on the manga, though.
was no. Sorry, never mind. That's a different story. The story
you're thinking about Kana.
Kana's story is the one they hate, but Akane is a terrible reality show essentially, which there are tons of those in Japan.
Right.
But yeah, she's getting cyberbullied for it. So much so she's like, they used a term that is one I never thought of, which is where you look yourself up online to see what people are saying about you. There's a word for it. It's like ego surfing, I think.
Yeah, it's normal is the word. We've been through this. The word is normal.
I've never once looked myself up online to this day.
I look myself up online all the time. I go to my website all the time. Like, yeah, that's a handsome looking guy right there. Nothing wrong with him.
Nothing wrong on the surface.
Oh,
Just like in Oshi No Ko, on the surface, everyone thinks she's just ruining the show, which wasn't very good, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But she's getting cyberbullied. Her mom's kind of noticing it, but not like seeing it fully. And she's a good actress. She's really good, actually. We found out later.
Yeah, she's like the head of the what is it?
Way too good of an.
It's not Galley Law, because Galley Law is a One Piece thing, but it's something like that. It's like Shangri-La or something.
But she's a really good actress, and she's getting bullied so much so that she decides she's going to jump off this bridge and into traffic. I think it's traffic.
Off the bridge.
And she's jumping off a bridge. I'm pretty sure it's into
No traffic. It was the river or something like that.
She's gonna jump into a river?
It was La La Lai, the La La Lai theatrical company. She's like their star performer or something, or like one of their star performers.
Yeah, and she gets like at some point you find out that Aqua's figured out what's happening with her, and he and the rest of the cast go to their way to help her and like basically pull her out of this in a literal physical way. Aqua pulls her off of the bridge. So it was a great. That was the episode where I'm like, oh man, this show's insane. I love this.
Yeah, and we'll get into that episode later because apparently that episode stirred up some controversy in Japan.
I have heard, yeah.
Yeah, so like that's a different story.
Yeah, but that was the episode I kind of was like, oh, cool. This show is for me. I feel it. I'm engaged. I like the characters. I'm still not sold on Akane until season 2 because I was a Kana fan before deciding Memsho was my favorite.
Okay.
Season 2 has nothing with Memcho, by the way. There's like 4 episodes left, and she's been in 2.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I kind of noticed that, like, well, here's the thing. Like in season 1 she was there a lot, but I felt like she did nothing though. Like, like
No, she was there to be the joke.
we're including you in things, but you're just here. Like it's that there's your presence here is almost like a decoration, and I felt like that was kind of like doing her dirty, because I was like, I would love to know more about Memcho.
They do that a lot, even in season 2, because season 2 focuses almost entirely on. Yeah, I'm getting too away from the plot of season 1 here.
Right.
So, yeah, there's just moments in this show that kind of like made me a fan, and that's one of them, along with Kana's stuff, which goes way deeper in season 2. Again, like I said, this has just been one giant season.
Yeah. I mean, I 100% get that. Like, sometimes I feel like, like, because there is seasonal anime that kind of drops, and it's like, like 12 episodes. And you feel like when you see season 2, I'm like, if you had released this as a 24 episode season, this would have been great.
It would have been perfect, because season 2 connects. I mean, obviously it connects directly to season 1, but it's almost like they took a part of it and was like, this is good enough, we'll just end here. But it should have been one giant season, because stuff that's in season 1 that was working towards is just left there until season 2 came out a whole year later.
Right.
So now it feels complete as a full like set. Well, not even, because the last episode isn't out yet. Dumb, but it'll be out next week. There's one other big moment I wanted to talk about, and it's kind of how Aqua's character is. He's obviously like he's super serious, because he's got this massive demon on his back who's like pushing him to do these things, revenge and vengeance. And my favorite characters are always vengeance-based characters, like the Sasuke's of the world,
I've noticed, like, I've actually noticed that.
I am such a carefree, happy-go-lucky guy, but like characters that do that kind of trope, I just really enjoy. I just connect with, even though I'm not similar to them in any way, shape, or form. So he has these moments where he shows that he deeply cares about things, and he can let that get to the front sometimes. He can let his caring personality and what he cares about push back his vengeful like urges, basically. He shows that he cares, and he's actually wants to do this stuff, which he goes into again deeper in season 2. But at the end of season 1, they put on a show, and they have the glow sticks. I talked about this before. They have the glow sticks for each of the girls on the stage, and Ruby's got some because, I guess she's cute. I don't know why she has any, to be honest. Memcho has some because she's got a massive audience. She's a streamer, very popular. And Kana had none, because she fell out of the limelight. People looked down upon her because they thought that the reason she left was unrelated to why she actually stopped acting for a while. And so Aqua throws her thing like up into the air, because you can tell that she's like losing confidence on stage. And he does a dance in the middle of the entire crowd, holding all 3 sticks representing his friends and his sister. And it was just such a good moment. And the song was also really good. And that was a great ending.
So with that being said, Gamma, let's hear your takes on it.
You sure? Because I want to hear your takes.
Oh, you want to hear my takes? You want to go last?
Yeah, I want to go last, because I still got 4 chapters left.
You're reading in the middle of us talking.
So he's reading in the middle of us talking about it. Okay, so let me put it to. Let me try to, or because I know I have a hot take about this show. And
well, is it hot? Is it warm? Is it like?
I feel like it's a hot take, and I feel like people who are fans of this show will either agree with me, or they'll think this is the dumbest take anyone's ever said. But I'm prepared for that.
Me too.
So with that said, let me start with just giving my general impressions of the show. I'm a huge fan of Akasaka from Kaguya-sama Love is War. I feel like he's a really good writer, and even though it shows that he's really capable with comedy, where he really shines is in the dramatic. Like, I feel like whenever he gets his hands on a character and he knows how to break them, It's just beautiful storytelling every single time, and it always feels very grounded, very believable. He has a tendency to stick with bullying a lot of it. So, there's that. I'm like, you can break characters in different ways. Bullying doesn't have to be it, but it is kind of the case, right? He writes characters who, and this is kind of like I feel the thesis of the work, that lies are the way that you protect yourself, and this was true for Kaguya-sama too, where characters will always present a certain face to everyone around them. But on the inside, there'll be something completely different. So, for example, we have like Miko Ino in Kaguya-sama, who is like a super authoritarian, kind of mean, really like, is the word overbearing? Is that the word that I'm looking for? I don't know. Anyway, point of the matter is, kind of like that, but then you look at her backstory and it turns out there's years of bullying and all of that, and mostly all of it stemming from a little girl who wished that mom and dad stayed home a lot more often, And we kind of see a lot of that here with different characters too. We see Kana, who was, as a child star, fantastic, phenomenal. Like, every people couldn't get enough of her as a child star. However, as she starts kind of growing out of her child star persona, she almost takes this overly cautious approach to the industry because she couldn't find the same level of success that she had found as a child, and it almost kind of like warps the way that she views herself to the point where she doesn't believe that she's actually as good as everyone tells her that she is, because how could she possibly be when like the fans that she had back in the day, the amount of work that she had back in the day just doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't jive. So she has kind of like this tendency to kind of like put herself in the back burner almost, where she's like, will she talk about like the entertainment industry? Sure. But like, is she going to get involved with just anything? Is she going to get excited about projects? No, absolutely not. They're just going to try to like keep it real. I'm doing the job, but I'm not going to get excited about it because, in the end, I'm not a star.
Do you know why she fell from stardom, like actual?
Is this something that would have happened in season 2, or would I have known about it in season 1?
They mentioned in season 2.
Okay, so no.
No.
No, not yet, I guess.
She basically becomes like egotistical, thinking she's way better than everyone else. She becomes a diva,
they touched on that in season 1 a little bit. Like, I imagine that they went deeper into it in season 2, but like in season 1, yeah. So there's that, and there's other characters, like, so for example, Akane. Akane is a fantastic actress on stage, etc., and she is an actor who works very hard, and but the thing is also, she kind of reinforces the thesis in that she's also one of the most genuine people in Oshi No Ko, right? So such that she's hurt easily whenever she doesn't live up to the expectations of others, because she's being 100% genuine. She doesn't have that persona that she can hide behind, that persona that's unflappable. And it's almost like something that they have to tell her after her bullying episode. Listen, Kane, in this industry, you almost have to be a persona whenever you're dealing with the public and with your critics and that, because that persona is what shields you from the things that they will do to hurt you. And so kind of like that, like every character is a mask almost, and there's something greater behind them. And it's something that I really enjoy watching, because it's almost like a house of cards. Sooner or later, something has to happen to make it all fall down. Because you can't have a show about liars lying to each other without the truth eventually coming out somewhere. And it's almost like you're waiting for everyone's truth to shine through. And I think that's just fantastic storytelling. So that said, I feel like Oshi No Ko is fantastic. The attention to detail in the entertainment industry, how agents work. I have an agent personally, and how they work, how they get you work, how you have to present yourself, how let's see, Gosh, there's so much, like you have to be squeaky clean on social media. You can't be part of scandals. You basically, you are your brand, and you have to take care of making sure that your brand stays as clean as perfectly possible. Because if there's any kind of stigma associated with you, you're not going to get hired. Like you're not going to find work. And, like a lot of the times, if you like, and this is not just a stigma related with like, say like scandals or whatever, but like also like, did you work with a certain director? When you work with this director, were you a hard worker? Were you there on task and ready to do what you had to do? Or were you kind of a lazy piece of crap? If you were a lazy piece of crap, word's going to spread. You're not going to get hired anymore because, you didn't show the level of work ethic that they expect from you. Everybody who shows up on set has to be a working professional. So, kind of like there's a lot of that. And I love the attention to detail in all of this. It really shows that Akasaka has done his research fantastic. So I feel like the world feels extremely lived in. It feels extremely real. The characters feel very nuanced. And I love the fact that even though we see them for what they are, there's always something behind the mask that they are not willing to show us. And it's almost like waiting for that to just explode. It's beautiful. My hot take on this.
All right.
And this is just, this is me. If you guys agree with me, cool. If you disagree with me, I expect that a lot of people will. You can find me on Twitter at the battle phase. So I think the reincarnation angle was completely unnecessary. I don't like, honestly, if this had just been about Hoshino's kids, no reincarnation, I think this would have been, just a straight up banger. I still think it's a straight up banger. However, I feel like it's so needlessly overcomplicated in that respect. Like this isn't a thing that needed to happen for me to be invested. Like it could have just as easily been the story of Aqua, not the reincarnation of Goro, trying to find who his father was, and so that he could solve the mystery of his mother's murder without the need of reincarnation at all. Like it 100% could have been that. So I feel like it's an unnecessary twist. It just feels weird to me. But other than that, I mean, like a straight up 9 out of 10. This is a banger. I enjoyed this.
As far as the reincarnation stuff goes, I didn't understand why they did it either, because it was like, all right, cool. They're clearly setting it up to be a useful tool for later. And it does come up quite a bit later, actually, in season 2. There's a bunch of stuff about the reincarnation stuff. My one issue with it is that he's not interested in finding out why he was reincarnated at all. Like him and Ruby have no care. Ruby just completely happy to be reincarnated because she had no life before. But he did have a life before.
She had no life before. And not only that, but she was reincarnated as the child of her favorite idol. So it's like, dude, how much better can it possibly get? But yeah.
Yeah, and the one thing I originally didn't like about the reincarnation angle was they picked the girl who was dying and the doctor she had a crush on to be siblings.
Yeah.
And I was like, please don't do what you think you're going to do with this. But so far as I've seen, and I haven't read very far, they haven't.
Good.
They haven't done anything with that, which is great. There's a lot of people saying they have, but then I look it up and it's some fan fiction that got really popular, fan comic, whatever that's called.
I see. Okay.
So yeah,
that's fine.
We haven't talked about Ruby at all. I just realized, but we'll get to her later.
Well, we were discussing the plot in general. So with that being said, Gamma, are you caught up now? Would you like to tell us your thoughts?
I just finished chapter 4.
Okay, there we are.
It's 40 chapters for one season.
For one season, yes.
And it's 10 chapters for one volume? For one episode?
Roughly 4 volumes, yes.
That's crazy. Anyways, let's hear it, Gamma.
Yeah. So what you got, Gamma? Tell us.
Okay, going through the notes, because damn, I got about 2 sets of notes. Even my phone was like, hey, you wrote too much over here. Let's put something else over here. I put their names first thing.
Good start.
But going to your hot topic. Let's go with that. If it wasn't for the fact that it was a reincarnation manga with a little bit of detective work, I would not have continued reading it.
And that's mostly because
to me, it just didn't resonate.
Because you don't enjoy just idle anime or something.
This doesn't really feel like an
Oh,
idol anime.
because then it wouldn't make sense.
Oh, I see.
It wouldn't make sense with Goro's way of thinking and acting, as well as Serena's way of acting and how she does
I
things.
see.
I agree, actually.
Because we go through chapters of him using his own knowledge to his advantage, even as a kid.
Right.
With Kana, I believe it was.
So
putting her
a lot
on
of
her-
this would have had to been rewritten if we took out the reincarnation angle. I agree with you.
Yeah, they'll be just stupid kids not knowing any better. Like, okay, Goro and Serena. Goro was a doctor who became a fan due to his patient Serena.
Mm-hmm.
Serena had a condition and was a fan of Ai Hoshino,
Mm-hmm.
the 2-star Ai girl. I had to label her like that.
The 2-star eye girl.
Or else I wouldn't know who the hell she was
Okay.
at that time. Goro was murdered before she gave birth by a stranger.
Mm-hmm.
We do not know who that stranger was.
Right.
Just the fact that he was asking about Ai, and you shouldn't know about anything.
Mm-hmm.
Which, while dying, he suspected, okay, only myself, I, and her agent know that she's here. How does this guy know that she's here? And are the kids gonna be born normally if I'm not around, or would
So
something
here's a
happen to
question.
them?
I just realized. Do you guys think? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But do you guys think the kids would have just been normal kids if they hadn't died to be reincarnated?
They would have been messed
The thing about
up.
it is that, like,
No, like
probably
if they hadn't been killed to be reincarnated, would they just have been regular kids?
Well,
Like it wouldn't have been them, so it would have just been the reincarnation angle is kind of like it had to happen. Fate does this thing, but like would they just have been regular, or would the sister still have been the other girl if he hadn't been stabbed?
Oh, I like. So,
if we only reincarnate
okay,
one
no, I
of them
don't
instead
understand
of
it.
both Goro and Serena,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what you meant.
Yeah, so like would they just have been regular kids if they had lived?
Oh, and so if Goro and Serena hadn't been murdered, you're asking if the kids would have just been regular kids, or if other people would have reincarnated into them?
Yeah,
Is that what you're
would have
asking?
been other people reincarnating to them. Just how's this world's reincarnation work? Because they literally never bother with it again.
True. Yeah. This is
I'll
surprise.
get
The
onto a
final
theory
chapter
about
of
that
Oshi No Ko.
later.
It turns out everyone.
Oh, you have a theory? Cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay.
Let's go.
One of the things that, if you remember reading, you guys didn't read it. You saw the anime. I did not want it to have a C-section. Period. She wanted to have her kids naturally, which, if you think about it, her having a C-section would have gave her away as a star. People would have been like, "Hey, you had kids," but the way that she had the kids normally, that didn't get noticed. It could be easily covered up. So she had both babies, which that's when it takes over. We see that on the manga. We see that Goro dies. Next thing that he knows, he opens his eyes, following the light, and he sees his idol holding him. Which I'm like, hold up. Kids are not supposed to be able to see that soon. How is this happening?
With the magic of fiction, I mean, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, magic.
So that's happening, and he noticed while they're kids, he realizes immediately, like, okay, I still got all my memories of an adult. And as you notice, he refuses to get breast milk from Ai because he's a grown-ass adult and he don't want to be sucking on the boobs of his idol. But on the other hand...
I wouldn't have refused.
On the other hand, Serena is happy-go-lucky left and right and even looks at him like, yeah, these are mine and they taste delicious. And he gets to a point where it's fine, but he notices one night that she's replying to the bad comments that they're leaving for Ai online. talking like a grown
Yeah,
up.
how funny was that? Like the
That's a
baby,
great
like
scene.
engaging in a flame war with
Yeah.
with trolls
Wait, hold on.
online. It
Actually,
was
this does answer
wonderful.
my question though, because they're the only babies who keep their memories, so it doesn't happen that often.
It must not. Yeah. So I don't know. I can't wait to hear Gamma's
Yeah.
theory. Anyway,
So
carry on.
that's when he sees her and he realizes, hey, you're just like me. You're reincarnated. My question is,
Hmm.
are you a male or a girl? Because this will change things if you were an old perv enjoying that breast milk. And that's when she has to tell him, like, hey, I'm a girl. Okay, were you a young girl or an old girl? And she tells him that's secret. But we do not. Goro doesn't know that it's Serene. And after I finish all 40 chapters of the manga, he still doesn't know. He suspects that it's her, but he doesn't know for a fact.
Yes.
So, Gamma, what do you think of all this? 'Cause you're kind of just retelling the story again.
I'm retelling all the notes I took.
Yeah.
So but what do you think about this? This is your thoughts.
As of now, it caught my attention. Like I mentioned, the fact that it's a rebirth detective work, that's what catches my attention. And I'm like, okay, I'm rooting for Goro to find out who the dad is, because in his mind, he's like, if I find out who the dad is, I find out who my murderer is.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Which
Because
I'm like, it might be your murder, or it might not be.
Yeah.
There's a huge plot thing later on about that I'm not going to talk about, but yes, you're on the right path. Yeah. Not even season 2. It's past that. I read a little bit of the manga before. My wife's like, let's watch it together, and I was like, you're right.
So let me ask about a couple of like plot points here for both of you. Like see if you guys can like give me some thoughts here. So first things first. Let me think. As far as Ai Hoshino, it's very obvious that she was cast when she was very young, and it kind of like she was an orphan, so she's kind of like this innocent. I got no one to vouch for me, and I'm a girl from the sticks. So big city person comes with promises of stardom, and like basically it gets molded into being the perfect idol, right? It can be argued that she had the talent all along and just needed the push, but it's a little bit scummy, in my opinion. Can I get what you guys think about that?
How old is I when she gets pregnant?
16. So she was
16.
younger than that whenever.
15.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was my theory. I was like, she either got knocked up at 16 exactly, or before
there's
that.
a very small character scene in season 2 for Ruby that kind of made me forget about that plot point, because it's been a whole year, and I'm like, what was talking about? I don't know if you guys want. It's just literally like 2 sentences that she says. That shows that Ruby also has an incredibly dark side, just like her brother.
Interesting.
Because she never talks about how she feels about Ai being murdered. They don't talk about it. It's not something they talk about ever.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But when she goes to try to find her brother, who's doing the stage play at this point, she's like, hey, is blah, blah here. And the guy's like, oh, you're so cute. Blah, blah. He's like, okay, whatever. I don't care about that. She literally is like, yeah, I don't care what you think of me. Great scene from her, by the way. Ruby's a great character. But she's like, it's my brother. He's like, oh, well, he left earlier with blah, blah. I'm pretty sure he left with his girlfriend, teenagers and stuff. They're probably going to a love hotel. And she's like, there's no way my brother would ever do that. He would never knock up a teenage girl and ruin her life. And that's it. That's the one line she says. And it's like, okay, cool. And like like her eyes, her little star changes colors in that scene, and then it goes back to normal.
Oh, it got dark just like it does with Goros from time to time?
Aqua's, yes.
Yeah, so it would be, basically it would mean that like almost like Ruby kind of like sees like Ai's pregnancy as a stain upon her legacy, right?
I think she thinks it led to her death as well.
It might have also been like that it led to her death. And again, this falls within that like that scope of like how Japanese people view idols and stuff, right? Where it's like they have to be perfectly flawless in every way, and it's like any little signal of a scandal could just destroy the whole thing, right? Like their whole image and ruin their career, and it's so weird. But like, whatever, like we're Americans and we have a different standard that we hold for people. It's weird.
But Americans do this too, especially in the industry.
Sort of, yes. It's strange because, like, for example, like we talked about Taylor Swift, right? And Taylor Swift she's an adult at this point, right? But like, if she had gotten knocked up earlier on, I don't think that, and I'm probably gonna cut this out because this is like getting way too personal. But I don't think that we would have made as big of a fuss about it.
We
would
would
have just been like, oh,
think about Britney Spears' sister. She got knocked up by a producer.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure when she was 16, and it
though,
ruined her career.
Wasn't he an adult?
Yeah,
though?
yeah.
Like there's a big difference there.
But people are thinking that I's person, because she came up rags to riches, it might have been a similar situation. I haven't got that far, so I don't know.
See what you
but
mean.
it could have been an adult who did it. I don't think it was. Whoever did it had to have good
I personally
genes.
don't think it was either.
I still don't know either.
And it have to be blonde.
And I finished season 1.
Had to be blonde because both
They're
of her
both
kids
blonde.
are blonde.
Yeah, it's not.
That is a good
It's got to
point.
be a gene in there somewhere.
Blonde or somebody that dyed their hair. Who knows?
Well, the kids can't
no,
dye
because
their-
they're natural blondes. Like
I mean, they're
yeah.
natural blondes, but the dad might dye his hair, so that way.
Oh,
nobody
I
knows that
see.
he's blonde.
So that nobody would know. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Does he know he has kids? Is what I want to know.
Well, he must.
He
because
knows.
I told them.
There's a I don't want to talk about season 2 again. I'll hold off on that. It kind of throws some wrench in your story stuff.
All right. So another plot point that I was interested in hearing you guys' take on is the dating show Aqua, Akane, and Memcho were in. Thoughts about that? And I wanted to bring this up specifically because this touches on the story that I mentioned earlier, that in the love for what's called the love for real arc, which is where they're in this show. Akane's story is similar to a Japanese wrestler. Her name was Hana Kimura, who kind of went through the same thing. She was in a reality dating show called Terrace House. And she kind of got into this controversy, and because of the backlash that she received from it, she ultimately committed suicide. And so this is a huge thing that happened in Japan, and it's just like a very sore spot on it, to the point where Aka Akasaka, whenever this story plot was released, had to kind of come out and say, listen, we had this planned way ahead of time. This wasn't intended to be like a parody of this. It's a matter of fact, we had the story down on paper before this happened. And as a matter of fact, we even changed the ending from Akane succeeding in killing herself to Aqua rescuing her at the last minute.
Wait, so she was supposed to die originally?
She was supposed to die originally.
But they use her character
but
so
did
well.
The rest?
Yeah.
But did the wrestler that you're talking about, did she also went by her real name on stage?
I don't know if that's the case or not. All I know is that she did receive backlash because of, and I don't even know if the controversy is the same. All I know is that she was on a dating show. Something happened, didn't go well. There was a huge backlash from it, and ultimately she just could not take the fallout from it, and she killed herself. I don't even know if she did it the same way, to be honest, but it is something that happened. So again, we're all content creators and performers of one way or another. Have you guys ever experienced something like this? Like a little bit of a fallout, or how would I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on this specifically.
I've never been cyberbullied that way, but I have had negative comments. And in the beginning of my, I guess, quote unquote career, when my first video blew up, people were calling me a one-hit wonder, blah, this and that. And then the next video came out and also did well. And it's okay, well, that's out of the way. But you kind of feel it. I also get a tinge of anxiety with every upload. Oh, what if this is the one that fails? What if this is the one that starts my downturn? Because content creation is such a fickle thing. You can be popular for 1 minute and then not popular next, or your content type just falls apart entirely, or there's just a lot of stuff. But I've never been to the point where I'm oh no, That's it. I'm out because I've always had other plans if this doesn't succeed, and I've also constantly working on those because you never want to put all your eggs in one basket. You always got to have a backup plan, like going to college and having a job and stuff.
But it's a nice basket, though. I like my.
You can make the basket as nice as you want. Your eggs should mostly be in there, but you should have eggs in other places. Is all I'm saying.
But I like this basket. It's specifically for the eggs.
I also want to do content creation all my life. But if I can't, I have other plans and I'll just do it on the side for the reason I did it to start with, for the fun of it. Because I love making stuff and always have. But I've never been bullied like that. So yeah, I can't say I related to the episode because I have had moments where I'm like, oh man, these people are like saying this and that to me. I had somebody critique my thing in a way that I wouldn't have, but it stuck with me for a long time. And yeah, I just stopped reading my own comments for a little while, but I'm over it now. I've gotten better. It's been 2 years. I'm good now.
How about you, Gamma? Like, what was your take on this particular story? How did it make you feel? What did you take from it?
I was like, damn, this girl's going through the rough places. Right. Because they show the comments that they post in there. Like, and
they're awful.
They are awful. Like, I'm like, damn. But at the same time, if you view it for the story and you figure out, okay, this is the director's fault for not adding just a couple more seconds of her getting forgiven. And before that, I was wondering, okay, did that other girl that got slapped and her face cut, did she forgive her on purpose, fully aware that she was going to get bullied right afterwards by the internet?
Ooh, look at that. You're kind of catching on to the themes here. Like, was that forgiveness genuine?
Yeah, that's because even Goro points it out too.
It's been a year. I actually forgot about the slap part.
Yeah, even Goro points it out like, hey, everybody over here is at one point or another putting some lie in order to protect themselves. So I'm like, is she lying? Because Goro caught her on a lie real quick. He was like, oh, she says she's innocent and timid, but what she just did on camera wasn't timid at all.
Imagine that, like, so imagine that, like you just got slapped, and what do you do about it? Like
you punch somebody right on the jaw right afterwards.
So you could react violent.
I've never happened, so I wouldn't know.
So imagine though, like, and I'm talking from their perspective. Obviously, Gamma's like, no, react with violence. Let's go. But
yeah, but I'm like, okay, how can she forgive her right there and then immediately?
Because you're on camera.
Something is up. And yes, that's the thing that they point out immediately. I know exactly where all the cameras are. And I know what the best angle was. So I'm like,
it's also kind of like ad-libbed.
Genuine.
If you were doing if you were like acting in something and someone wasn't supposed to slap you and they did, what would you do? Like, you're like, oh, was that part of the show? Did they tell you to do that? Like,
right. So it's kind of one of those things, where it's like, for one thing, it kind of shows you like how the other girl kind of thinks on her feet. I forget what her name was. I don't even care.
Oh, I got her name. I got her name.
Is she okay? What's her name?
Give me a minute.
she's not in season 2, so I totally forgot her existence.
Oh,
right,
okay.
Right.
1 second, I get there.
Okay. Oh, wait, was it Minami?
Okay.
Yuki.
Oh, it's Yuki.
Yuki.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So Yuki gets slapped, right? And like she has two options. And as again, this goes back to what we talked about earlier, that in the entertainment industry, your image is everything. So you kind of have a choice here. You just got slapped. You could retaliate in anger, but then that changes your image. Or you could do nothing that also affects your image. Or you could forgive her, and suddenly your image changes in a positive way. Now people are like, oh, well, yeah, you got slapped, but look how gracefully she responded to this.
But one of my notes as well is this, just before the slap. Yuki is a vile person and wants all the attention of the show for herself. Where she told that to Kana, face to face too. Which I'm like,
also true.
Did this on purpose, goading her, and knowing that she will slap her by putting that diamond on her finger. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, and you know, like it's a little ambiguous. So it is possible that you know she was pushing Akane on purpose, but we don't know what her expectations were of it. You know, like so either one of two things is going to happen. Akane is just going to fade into the background, and then I don't have to worry about sharing the limelight with her, or. And I 100% think that this was just like the worst case scenario, something that she could have never planned for.
I think,
but that she leveraged in her own favor.
I think it's also a similar thing where they're literally opposites. Akane is, her real personality is very timid, very shy, and so she has to act to become who she wants to be. This girl's the opposite, where she wants to act very timid, very cute, but she's the opposite. She's very like gung ho, very forward, but she's not mean. She's just competitive.
Right.
It's because they make up, they become friends, and that's kind of it. I think she's pushing her because she is jealous, because she knows Akane is a better actress.
Yeah, she knows that
true.
Akane is a workaholic. She's seen her taking notes constantly.
She is a workaholic.
Yeah.
And she's good.
And it's another thing that we kind of like touch on here that we can kind of touch with this same story arc. It's the expectations that are put on you as a performer. Because ultimately, as a performer, you're an artist. And the thing is, it's really weird that you kind of have to balance the business aspect of it also. So Akane's agency is pushing her a lot. Not just that, but you know, she's not getting like the reaction that the agency was expecting in this show.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's kind of like working overtime, just like putting in the work to keep everyone happy. But at the same time, she's trying to do it and I mentioned that she was genuine in the earlier, and I feel like she's trying to do it in the most genuine way possible. So she is in this show where it's a reality dating show, and I feel like that just almost didn't click for her because she wasn't given a character. She's just put in a place.
She's just acting her real self right there and then.
She's being her real self. Yes, exactly. And I feel like that was the wrong choice to make for her. But I also think that she didn't know what else to do, you know, like because she's primarily a stage actress. And when you're on stage, you have a script, you have a character, you do a thing, right? So now she's a reality TV personality, and it's like, well, what do you do on reality TV? How do you, like, what are you playing if not yourself? Mm-hmm. And I feel like this was a really valuable learning experience for her, but it was also kind of like a really heavy thing where you kind of realize that, you know, like in trying to please everyone, ultimately you do a disservice to yourself.
Yeah.
But at the same time, let's think about it.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that scene where she overheard her boss showing out her co-worker saying, hey, we put Akane here so that we get more stuff coming over here, but she's dragging us to the mud. You better do something about it. And he just sees Akane as he's heading out and saying, you're fine, just keep being you. The way that I see that is as well, bad things may have happened, but at the same time, it needed to happen for her to reach that potential.
And that's true. I mean, like, ultimately you grow through adversity, right?
I think
or else she would have kept being stagnant, just being a workaholic, not going anywhere.
I think a big plot or a big message here, too, is that she only became this because she didn't take her own life. She didn't go through it, and she became better, and it shows that anyone can, you know, to go on to become something more.
Yeah.
You're not your ideations. You're not your depression.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah. So there is kind of like a big, you know, like wonderful message behind all of this. And I'm me personally, I'm happy that, you know, we got to keep Akane as opposed to like the original plan.
Yeah.
And you know, she's a big player in season 2. So I mean, like, you know, excellent.
She's basically the main character of season 2. It's kind of crazy. And season 2 does not do what season 1 did, though, at all.
And the way that they played off the way that he saved Akane is a way of Goro redeeming himself, of not allowing anybody else to die around him. Anybody else that he knows.
I mean,
because I feel like he was also really two-handed about that, like two-faced about that too, though. You know, like, because I don't know. It always feels to me like Aqua is doing good things, but he's doing it for duplicitous reasons. You know what I
And
mean?
Not always.
another thing that I want to point out is this, though.
Mm-hmm.
He might be a smart genius and a doctor,
Mm-hmm.
but it only comes to play in certain circumstances. Otherwise, he just acts like a dumb kid, which I'm like, okay, you're a kid that is a reincarnated doctor. Your
It,
mother got stabbed in front of you. Why couldn't you just go to grab her purse, grab her ID, and put it on where she got stabbed to at least stop some of the bleeding?
he did
Even
try
though
to.
Actually,
it was
that
a
is
lethal stab,
She
he
got.
could have at least done that.
He does try to help her, but it doesn't really do a whole lot.
in the. From what I remember, he immediately kind of like made an assessment that this was a very bad injury.
Yeah, he did that.
But
Otherwise,
what
I didn't see anything else like doctor-wise that he could have done. That he could have done on a kid's body.
right.
So it seems to
that
me like
might
wasted
be a lot
potential.
of it there. Yeah. No, that's also a big thing about it, though, is that, you know, he was also in a child's body. But it is something that's mentioned lightly in one of the episodes, that Aqua says that he feels that with every day that passes, he's less who he used to be, and he's just kind of becoming Aqua.
Hold on.
Uh,
Are we
mhm.
talking about season 2? Because on season
No,
1, that
this was in season 1.
not the stuff that I read.
Yeah,
He's
it's a throwaway line, dude. It's one line, so like it's almost like it's played off as kind of like it's possible that one day I'll forget who I was entirely, and I'll just be Aqua, and the person that I was just disappears. But I feel like it, and this is just me speculating, that this reincarnation didn't come without certain side effects. And one of them being like, you know, there are things that you might have been able to do in the past that you just suddenly don't have anymore because you're technically a new person. Yeah, but that's me speculating. There's nowhere that I saw that confirmed that, not yet at least. So I don't know, maybe not.
I mean,
And to me, my other theory is this, though. What if that girl that he saved, Kana, which is able to imitate eye down to the smallest detail, even to her eyes changes and on the spot. And she
Akane?
even went,
Yeah,
Akane. She even mentions, hey, I may have had kids in secret, which nobody else suspected. And that
Akane is weird though, man.
So in the
my
later
theory is, what if she is reincarnated in a way?
She's the same age as him. Oh, she's a year older.
Aqua and
she's a year
Ruby.
older than Aqua, actually, because Aqua has a thing for
Right.
older women, and both the girls are older than him. He's a thing
Right.
for
Yeah,
older
but
women.
at the same
so he
time,
likes-
we don't even establish how reincarnation even works on that series.
Well,
if you're
then
gonna be reincarnated right there from birth, or
Yeah.
let's say if a person is in a coma and they just a new spirit, eye spirit comes and takes over and goes from there.
So Gamma's working on the presumption of like the same plot as the movie Soul from Disney,
never seen
from
it.
Disney Pixar, where, well, the idea is, you know, just because a person is born doesn't mean that they have their soul yet. You know, sometimes a person gets their soul later in life, and it kind of explains the idea of like, oh, you know how some people just kind of feel like they're coasting, and like, you know, like that, like it feels like almost nothing like matters to them, or like, you know, like they just feel like they don't belong, or like they don't vibe with the world, and then just one day they get their soul, you know, like their soul just kind of clicks. And that's kind of like when they come into themselves, you know. So like kind of like the idea is like, imagine like an office drone just working at an office forever, and like, you know, he's just doing a job because that's what's expected of him. And then one day he discovers music, and music just like sparks something new in him. That's when his soul awakens.
Okay.
So Gamma's kind of working with that presumption.
But I've never seen the movie Soul.
I mean, I'm just assuming. So Akane is just.
It is a very okay movie.
So Akane is just. I mean, I heard it won awards, but they didn't release it in theaters, so there's no way to check if it actually was like worth it or not. But it was supposed to be really good. I just haven't watched it because I don't like Disney Plus. I hate Disney.
I get it.
There are lots of reasons.
Carry on.
So Akane is just insanely good at acting, and she just needed that push. And she started taking notes about how to become I. So I don't think she was I. I think she's
too
just
many notes.
Well, yeah, but the one reason or the main reason is because she has fallen for Aqua, and she sees the only person who made him react in any way, because he's obviously very straight faced pretty much all the time, was the mention of I. She doesn't know that that's his mom yet. In season 2, she has inklings of it, but she still doesn't know. I don't know when she finds out. She probably does someday.
But this is the thing, though. I feel a little bit iffy about this whole thing with Goro and Akane. I'm like, okay, you reincarnated, but that's your mom. And you just kiss a girl that plays your mom a little too well.
You know, this feels to me...
you don't want to let her go.
This feels to me like it's one of the... And this is why I don't like the reincarnation angle, because then I have to not think about it so hard. You know, because
I never even made that connection, to be honest.
Right. So it goes to weird places when you think about it too hard. So, you know, you just gotta have to go with it. And I'm like, if we didn't worry about the reincarnation angle too much, then I would like this infinitely more. But like that, I have already said my piece on that.
I saw a mention of the love triangle thing, which we haven't touched on at all, between Kana and Akane and Aqua. I don't mind it. I think it's fine because I think it actually works well in this story, which is crazy to think.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah. Now that you mention it, we did get that far on by chapter 14. The fact that she kind of likes Goro, but Goro likes that other girl. But she kind of is all jealous about him, calling him a player too. Like, hey, you like too many girls.
There's a few mentions of it because he's always hanging out with Kana. Like, they show up to the theater at the same time, even though technically he's dating Akane for public reasons. He's always with Kana, and they're like, "Oh, what's actually happening here?" And like, "What's going on?" Like, well, they're from the same agency is usually what they tell people, and it's like, okay, well, that's fine.
Yeah,
and they
even pointed out too on the manga.
Yeah,
like her and Akane and Goro made a deal. Like, okay, for the sake of Mu Entertainment, we're going out. But in reality, we're not going out, though.
And this plays into, you know, like kind of another aspect of the entertainment industry, which is rumor, doesn't it? Because, you know, fans like maybe looking at Akane's Instagram and seeing that she's dating Aqua. But the fact that Aqua is always seen with Kana could start rumors about like, oh, secret love and this and that. You know, you see it all the time on the tabloids. So
paparazzis.
Yeah, like the paparazzis and stuff like that. I don't know what that's like in Japan. I personally have no idea. But like,
it's probably pretty terrible. Probably worse, actually.
But you know, like we have that here, and we hear horror stories about it all the time. So I'm like, me personally, I hope that they go into it in later chapters, later seasons, because I'm like that would be just, this is a thing that's just naturally a part of this industry, no?
I think they do. There's like hints of it happening in season 2.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I think you're right.
Now, if Akane died like he originally wanted to happen, we wouldn't got this at all.
No,
True.
I don't really know how he'd do season 2 if he actually had planned to kill her originally, because she is the star of the show.
Kana would have probably stepped into that role.
So Kana is also, they're both competing. It's a direct competition of the two for 2 reasons. For theme reasons.
Now,
one, childhood star.
If you guys don't mind me asking,
yes,
whatever happened to this other girl? What happened to Minami?
Who is Minami? Like that tells you everything you need to know.
The main character girl.
Minami is the G Cup girl that Serena made first friends with.
I mean, she's still around. I mean, isn't that like nothing happened to her? Like,
she's hanging. So in season 2, she's the one who hangs out with Ruby. They go to see him together. They're like, we're here to see our brother perform, and then she's like, "Wow, you're beautiful." Because they have a big thing about players in this season.
Right.
and how awful they are.
And what else happened to Shira Nui Frills? All that I've seen is the fact that Serena is obsessed with her because she's an actress, and she didn't pay attention to Serena at all. She only paid attention to the model, which is Minami, and Goro due to the series that he did.
So I just found out that season 2's final episode just premiered like 6 hours ago.
6 hours.
So I got something to do. All of a sudden, I will talk to you guys later. No, I'm kidding.
No!
But there's one thing I want to go back to.
He's leaving us.
I did want to talk about one final thing about the love triangle thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The way it was explained to me, which I thought was hilarious. A kane is a yandere, and kana is a tsundere, and those are the love options he has.
Yeah, there's all kinds of different kinds of those. You know, you have a yandere, the tsundere, the kudere. There's a whole bunch of them. There is so many types. Dude, this could be an entire episode. What's your favorite dere? But anyway, like it is kind of the thing that's what Aqua has in his corner right now. But I don't think that he's limited specifically to that, because it's brought up multiple times that he's an attractive looking dude. And he's working in the entertainment industry, which is filled with attractive-looking people. I mean, yours truly.
Okay, hold on a second, though.
Yes.
I got a question about that.
Okay.
We do know that he works in the entertainment industry.
Right.
As an actor, and also working on videos as well. My question is this, though, if it gets established on season 2, is he really or is he not really Payon?
Oh, Payon? No.
No.
That was just a whole thing. Yeah, Payon is his own thing.
Because the first time they show him is a muscular dude.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, this guy is awesome. Yeah. And how he shuts up Kana is hilarious.
Yeah.
When Kana sees him, she's like, that face is hilarious. And when he just tells her, I make 100 million yen a year, she immediately apologizes.
One of the best parts in this whole series, yeah. But no, Payon is his own person. He's an actual streamer. Aqua took on the mantle of Payon to try to whip B Kamachi into shape while Payon was on vacation. And it just goes to...
So Payon doesn't know that happened.
No, he knows. He gave him permission.
Yeah, they're all part of the same industry. They're the same. Hold on. They're the same company.
So Payon was the dude that he was talking on the phone with?
Yes.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
They don't show his face for a reason, yeah.
Yeah, so he was the guy that he was talking on the phone with.
That's also where he has the heart-to-heart with Kana, and she's like, I think I fell in love with Payon. And he's like, how could I? And then she realizes it's actually Aqua, and she's like, well, I guess I came to terms with something.
Yeah. But I guess to kind of close off, I mean, like, I feel like this was a very Aqua-centric episode. Ruby came up time and again, but like it is the case that in the first season, Aqua was kind of the focal point, and Ruby was there and she did things, but like it's almost like two different stories to be told, right? Like Aqua is out here trying to navigate the industry in order to do some sleuthing to find out the real story of what happened, whereas Ruby's just out here trying to live a dream, you know? But with that being said, I kind of wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on who your favorite characters were, and if you had a particular favorite story arc to go with them.
Memcho.
No
story arc. Just Memcho.
No, absolutely no story arc with Memcho. She's just she's there.
Okay. I love that she's a content creator and she knows what she kind of wants to have fun and try things, and I feel her.
Yeah,
I feel that.
Yeah,
she's like, I'm actually 27 or something, whatever number, and pretending to be 19. Or I'm like, that's kind of funny.
She's 27.
Yeah, I've been 27 for 16 years. What are you talking about?
I like this. I like her friendship with Aqua.
Yeah.
They don't explore that enough, where they are friends. That is something that he does so well. The relationships are fine, but his friendship stuff, amazing. I don't know why. Just if they're just friends, great writing.
Right.
So
And Memcho seems like a very like obviously because we see this all the time as like people who have made content for YouTube, right? That sometimes whenever you're in front of the camera, you put on an act that is your persona, right? And
I do it
Memcho
specifically.
and
Sakura
Memcho
is not
whenever.
me.
But whenever she's not on camera, she's actually really down to earth. You know what I mean? Like, or at least that's how it felt to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And her joining the new, I can't remember what they're called.
Bikamachi.
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 The season 2, basically, the restart of them.
Mm.
And her joining and then Kana joining was just like, I thought, the perfect way to do it in season 1.
Mm.
But season 2, they're not even in it. Memcho's in 2 episodes. Ruby so far, I'm on episode 20 out of 24, I think.
Mm.
Ruby's been in 2 episodes.
Yeah.
There's not, people were complaining that season 2 wasn't enough of what season 1 was, which I kind of agree. Not enough of the lean into that stuff, but it's just like not enough of Ruby. Apparently, she becomes the most important character going forward, but until then, she's just not in it.
And this dude,
Wow.
this might be just like, this is how Akasaka writes, because like it's almost like, oh gosh, for like a big portion of like Kaguya-sama, it's almost like we have all these characters, they're happy-go-lucky, blah 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 blah, but it feels like they're just going about their lives being kids in a school for rich people, kind of goofing off a little bit, right? And then the story plot kicks in and it turns into a completely different beast. And I feel like that's kind of what's going on here, that like the first season is kind of like an introductory to the setting, to the characters, and to like the themes. Season 2 is kind of like doing a heavy lifting to get you to like the point where it just kind of like clicks and the story plot kind of like takes the form that it's going to take for the rest of the story, So maybe that's it. And I'm just speculating here because I've read his work in the past and that's how it worked. So I'm like, maybe.
Maybe they'll do the opposite, where they'll go from super dramatic to comedy.
Oh, how weird would that be? That
would be so funny, though.
Yeah. So, Memcho, your favorite character, and like that she's friends with Aqua. I also like it when characters are just friends. I feel like, trying to like force everyone to be romantically involved is a little silly.
Opposite genders can just be friends, guys. It's fine.
No, false. But anyway, Gamma, hit me with your favorite character and hit me with your favorite story plot. What do you got?
If I'm honest,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really have a favorite character.
Okay.
I just had some scenes that cracked me up.
Okay.
Like the one where she first saw Pion and he tells her how much she makes a year.
Yeah.
But
So
otherwise,
I'm going to say that's your favorite character, then.
That's probably your favorite character. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. And hey, that's good taste. Pion's a great character.
He's
just hilarious.
Yeah, not only is he ripped, but
story wise, I just like the one that he acted with Kana on reenacting that manga.
Okay.
I like the way that he just brought the author's dream to reality.
And I gotta tell you, dude,
giving it a sort of respect.
Right. And I gotta tell you, like, this is something that isn't talked about in acting enough. But it is kind of a thing that it's a craft, and the more you practice it, the better you get at it. And I've had it happen that midway through acting in a scene, suddenly the character clicked, and like it changes the vibe in the room, dude. And I wish that I could do that on command, but unfortunately, it's kind of like you kind of have to enter that mindset where it's like prior, like you wish that you could just turn it on and off. Is what I'm trying to say. But like a lot of the times, before you act something, you kind of have to be in a place where you're kind of like reminding yourself who the character is, what their motivation is, how that makes them feel, what they must be thinking, and so on and so forth. And it kind of like the work that you see Akane put into it is a lot of what you have to do before you go into a scene. And so, like, acting almost feels like you just show up and play pretend, but there's a lot of work involved in it. It is so stupid.
You're playing really good pretend is what you're doing.
You're playing really good, but you're playing pretend professionally, whereas everyone else is just like queuing up to play pretend with noobs.
I want to play pretend.
To me,
let's go.
While you're mentioning is the point of the acting. To me, it was a different point.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fact that there's people on on the entertainment industry
Mm-hmm.
that changes the work of the author purposely to fit their own agenda.
That's also very
That's
true.
something that I do not like at all.
When is that discussed?
It's not discussed in this, but Gamma's kind of bringing up a point that, like, so for example, in the adaptation of I'll Go Sweet, they were like, okay, so, you know, hey, it's a little fluff piece, you know, we're going to bring in these no-name actors, and we're basically doing it to kind of like just put eye candy on the screen, and later there'll be models, you know, kind of like, you know, get them a little screen time, get them like accustomed to like a fan
this
base.
This is a series of the manga in name, but not really.
In name, but not spirit. So what Gamma's taking is kind of like bringing up here is that sometimes a creator's work will be diluted as it goes through the entertainment machine. And he's not for it. You know, like, hey, an author's vision should be respected for what it is.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Most things. I just didn't see that as like a major topic until season 2.
Yeah, no, this wasn't a topic in this one. By the way, Gamma, if that's where you're coming from, you will love season 2 because that's exactly what it is.
That's where
you won't actually. Season 2 does the opposite, where they're like, yeah, just because someone created something doesn't mean they actually know what would work in the other options.
Yeah. It's a little bit.
Me.
No. It's a little bit more nuanced than that because
it is. Yes, but
it's a little bit like, for example, like the manga author whose work they're adapting is like, hey, no, in my manga I wanted it like this, but then you have like people in like theater being like, look, that works in manga because manga's manga, but this is a different medium. In theater, you need to convey a lot of information very fast, otherwise you lose the audience. So we have to rewrite it so that it does this. So we're kind of.
That's why you make them into series, which series are actually a movie.
I mean, so in season 2 they take a manga that's a battle manga,
Tokyo
and turn it into a stage play.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
And the manga author's mad about it, wants to rechange the entire thing to be exactly as she wrote, which does not work for the stage play, because a stage play can't be what a manga is.
No, because it would take entirely too long. You'd be there forever. So
and also, it's just a battle story. It's a shonen. It's more show than tell anyways. So tell your piece and then show your action.
Right. So it's kind of that, like, so there's kind of like a lot of talk about like how adaptations work, and like, you know, it kind of shines a little bit of light to where, like, whether you agree with it or not, it is kind of the way that the industry works, where it's like, if we're trying to reach a different audience, we kind of have to take into account what they're looking for. Like, for example, and this is a reality for me. I'm a huge fan of the One Piece manga. I'm a huge fan of the One Piece anime. I think the anime is a great translation, if a little slow. I thought that the live action was entirely too fast, and that it didn't linger too much on little things that, you know, became bigger things later on in the story. But I also understand that you're trying to tell like this immense story, and trying to cater it to a television watching audience, which is like, they don't have the same patience that I did reading a manga. And it's the same thing with a book. Harry Potter
patience.
The Harry Potter books were monsters,
pages.
you know, and it was like, and it was like, whenever you translated them into movies, I was like, there's a lot that didn't get told in the same way. But at the same time, these movies were starting to get extremely long, and I'm like, thank you for cutting out some of the fluff, you know? So yeah.
I like the movies better than the books, to be honest with that. They conveyed the vibes of the world.
Yeah, like
much
convey
better.
the spirit of the thing and try to stay as true to it as possible while cutting down on the fat. You know what I mean?
And also just doing it in a way that it can't be done in a book. Like the music. The music's way more memorable than anything the book did.
Also true. So like there is kind of like a lot of like, you know, you kind of like a give and take whenever you're going into different mediums. So like, for example, you can kind of like elevate some things that happen in a manga whenever you transform it into an anime, right? Like now you have like visuals to go with it, and you have music to go with it, you have sound effects. You might have to cut back on a couple of things that slip by in the manga, but in the anime, you know, we do what we can. And same thing when you translate to a live action. I've seen so many live action adaptations of manga that in my mind was like, that was terrible. But whenever I stop to think about it, I'm like, what they were trying to do is like carry on the spirit of the thing without like while at the same time kind of like catering to a new audience who might or might not like stick with it. And I'm like, I get it. I don't always like the way that it happens, but I understand. So that's where I'm at with it. Yu Yu Hakusho, prime example. It started off fantastic as the live action. The first episode, boy, I was like, yes, let's go. This is it. By the last episode, I was like, what the hell was this? Like it was just like, what happened? And
I don't like most live action animes. The medium just doesn't work.
Some are done better than others. I will say this. What's it called? The prime example of how not to do it, Dragon Ball Evolution. I will not elaborate.
Yeah, you don't need to.
Yeah, so like for me, it's over the years, it's become more important that you stay true to the spirit of the thing. Like you can take some creative liberties, but like stay true to the spirit of it. If you lose the spirit, you end up with Dragon Ball Evolution.
How do you guys feel about Scarlett Johansson in Ghost in the Shell?
I saw it, and maybe it's me because I haven't seen the original Ghost in the Shell movie. I only ever saw Standalone Complex. I thought it was...
I haven't seen any of those movies.
I thought it was fine. Like, I didn't think it was bad. I mean, I thought that it was
That's the general consensus, yeah.
It was a little meandering, but that was really about it.
She's a good actress. So
yeah, she's a great actress. So now my take on like Oshi No Ko favorite characters and stuff. This is turning out to be a super long episode, but that's because this anime's so good, dog.
Yeah.
Too good.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys got me on this, right? I took my notes. I went in 100.
No, it
and
shows.
My thoughts on this, I like it.
Yeah.
I like it for the sole reason that I mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It's a reincarnation detective story, at least from my point of view.
It's a really weird
with a little
twist.
bit of slice of spice of life here and there.
Right. So my take on this... my favorite character in this, and this is just because I'm a fan of the memes. I love Paon. I think he's so funny. Like I'm like, if you were gonna give me a character that to just latch onto for no reason other than the memes, it's Paon. Mm-hmm. However, if we're dialing back and we're talking all seriousness, who was your favorite character? Why? I love Kana. Kana just spoke to me as an actor because she seems to go through a lot of the things that I go through all the time, where it's like, are you a good actor? Well, you put in the work. And sometimes you're just in it. And other times, not so much. Like sometimes it's almost like you get too far into your head and you don't act because there's so many of your own thoughts clouding what you're trying to become. So I kind of feel for her in that respect. The fact that she kind of changes gears and starts going for an idol group. I mean, sometimes as an entertainer, you kind of like do different things to kind of like see where your next vibe is going to come from, So
she sticks with the acting thing, though. Don't worry about it.
Right. So you stick with what you do, right? So like it's almost like whenever you go on YouTube, like for example, like I started off on YouTube telling horror stories, and I
still do.
Well, actually, false. I started off on YouTube playing Overwatch.
There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
Be honest.
I started off on YouTube
Embrace
playing
your past.
Overwatch. And then from Overwatch, I was like, I'm not feeling this, mostly because Overwatch gets really stressful whenever you're trying to play competitively. So I was like, I'm not feeling this. Let me try something a little more laid back. So I started playing Pokemon. And I was like, okay, Pokemon's a little too laid back. Sometimes I feel like I'm logging on to do nothing. So I'm like, let me try something else. Let me try making something. So I started doing discussion videos. So I would be like, hey, what heroes of Overwatch do I like for what reasons? And like, do I think that this is too strong? Like I would latch on to like the thing that the community was talking about at the time and discuss my opinion on it. And I tried doing that for Pokemon too, hey, let me tell you some Easter eggs, some inspiration ideas, etc. And ultimately, I ended up horror narration, and now I'm back to gaming. It's weird, dude. Like you go all over the place as an entertainer.
Play Overwatch.
Full circle.
Huh?
We should play Overwatch.
I'm coming around to the idea. It's going to be a learning curve because, when you haven't been in it for a while, you have to learn the meta. You have to learn the new characters, what they do, how they play, how to counter, etc. So it's going to be a process, but I'm coming around to the idea. Mostly because
such a cool character. Or June, sorry.
I was gonna say just because I really really like Juno's design, but
It's so good, dude.
it's
It's
so
just
good.
a flying little pop girl. Like I'm all about that.
It's so good. But anyway, so I really vibe with Kana. I feel like her story is a lot of actor stories. And like it's so easy to kind of like fall into a bunch of the different things that her story kind of tells. Like it's easy to become like to let your ego get the best of you whenever you're doing great. And it's also easy to kind of like become your own worst critic whenever you have a big L. And it's easy to get inside your own head. It's easy to tell yourself that you're not good enough. It's easy to kind of like critique everyone based on the lens that you view yourself, which she does a lot for Aqua. So I'm like, Kana was my favorite character for all those reasons. If I had to say like my favorite point in the series, I really really love the video where they have to do the workout challenge with Pieon. So funny.
Yeah.
Like excellent.
1 hour.
1
hour, dude. I was like, I would have quit after 20 minutes, baby.
That's what we used to do in the military. We'd have
No
an hour,
kidding.
we'd have to work. Yeah, literally that.
Yeah.
Well, not that specifically. We'd be dancing. We'd be doing just a series of workouts. It was
Yeah,
awful.
a series of workouts, right? But like, yeah, I imagine so because like you're in the military, you have to be like capable, right?
Somewhat.
Yeah. So yeah, like those are my favorite characters, favorite story plots. I've already talked about like I don't like the reincarnation angle, but that's not to say that it takes me out of the show. I still enjoy it. I still think I thought the writing on this was excellent, very Akasaka. It the same way that he balanced that he did like comedy and drama in Kaguya-sama. He does it here, but he focuses more on the drama than the comedy. The comedy's still present. I still enjoy it. But it feels like he's getting around to telling the stories that he wanted to tell. I don't know if I mentioned anything about Akasaka to you guys, but like it was the case that he was writing a more serious story before Kaguya-sama, and the reviews were not great. He like basically had to like end it early because it was just like not vibing with readers. And for a long time, he was basically working like, and I feel like this is a lot of his story in Oshi No Ko. That like for a long time he was kind of like working and making minimum wage just enough to make rent, but not exactly enough to buy food. As an assistant to other manga artists and stuff like that, right? And then one day, he's just kind of like wondering to himself, like, well, man, what have I been doing with my life? Like my stories just aren't getting me anywhere. And he decided, you know what? I'm just going to take it easy. I'm going to write stories about being in love as a young person. And he kind of like designed Kaguya-sama, and one day he met with an editor, I think it was at Shonen Jump, in an elevator, and he gave him the pitch, and the guy was like, love it. Come see us, come talk to us. Next thing you know, he's a millionaire overnight, basically, because Kaguya-sama was so good and so very well received. So like, and it almost feels like he had to go through these same exact processes of being your own worst critic, of being faced with like just absolute defeat whenever you put so much care and love into something and the fans just did not vibe with it. Only to kind of like have your big comeback where you tell a different story and suddenly everyone's with you. And that makes a platform for you to tell a story that you always wanted to tell anyway, right? Like you wanted to tell dramatic stories. You got in the door with the comedy, but now you wanted to focus on something more serious, and now that's what you're doing. And I really do feel like this is something that he's probably lived. So yeah, I Akane favorite character, and like what's it called?
Kana.
Kana, my favorite character.
Kana.
Yeah, Kana, my favorite character. Oshi No Ko, super great. You guys should watch it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Watch it twice.
Watch it twice. I did.
Watch it and then read it.
Yeah,
or read it then watch it. I don't know.
Or read
whatever
it then watch it. I mean, like however you get your kicks, man. Like you can't go wrong with Oshi No Ko. It's a very strong series, and like again, I feel like Akasaka has something philosophically to say about things, and I feel like with him, a lot of it is just being two-faced. Like people don't tell you the absolute truth of who they are, man. Like, and sometimes you can never be 100% sure that what they're showing you isn't just a mask. So that seems to be a prevailing theme in his recent works.
Sounds to me like you took a Psych 1 class in college and was like, that's it. That's my thing. That's my gimmick.
I took a Psych 1 class in college, and I thought to myself, it will make me a better author. And then I ended up dropping it. No, I mean, I'm talking about me. And then I ended up dropping out of psychiatry because I was like, oh man, I am not the right person to be a psychiatrist, man. I do not have it in me because I empathize with people too much. So it's like, if you have me as a psychiatrist, you're not just going to be telling me your problems, man. You're going to be making them my problems too. And that's just not the kind of person you need as a psychiatrist. So
also, psychiatrists like to listen. They don't really talk a whole lot.
Yeah, and I am the exact opposite. Imagine, like, let me tell you about my mother. Oh, dude, let me tell you about my mother. But first, I'm going to tell you about her backstory, and I'm going to tell you about the obstacles she had to overcome, how they made her into the person that she is, and how that person raised me to become the person before you. And bro, let me tell you, it is an epic story, probably about 3 seasons, super excellent. It ends up in a really good place. You know, like
they'll be diagnosing you.
Yeah, and at the end they're like, can I get a different guy? This guy feels like he just did not hear me out at all. I'm like, damn right.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
Different guy.
That'll be $100.
$100? No, it'll be $400. Psychiatry is
$400 when you heard me talk all about myself here.
I like that they list Memcho as a YouTuber. I don't know. That just seems nice. Also, TikToker, formerly.
You know what's funny is that they took that out of the English dub, obviously for copyright issues, right? But like, so they were just like, oh, you're on an online social platform? Oh, hey, you have thousands of views on this other online video platform. They just like keep it generic, but the subtitle said YouTube and TikTok. So
yeah. On her official page, it says TikToker, formerly, and then YouTuber.
Right,
That's so funny. I relate to that. Nobody calls us YouTubers anymore. They call us content creators, and that's demoralizing. Don't do that, please.
Okay. All right. Well,
I make YouTube. I'm not content.
With that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. Remember to hit us up on Twitter at The Battle Phase. Tell us your thoughts about Oshi No Ko. Tell us what we should read next, and tell us whose take was the most based in this episode. Was it Bard's preference for Pieon, or was it, Seikro's preferences for serious storytelling with dark and moody characters who are out for revenge?
Dum, dum, dum.
Or Gamma's love for, reincarnation detective stories.
There's enough of those that I would get it.
So yeah, until next time, I have been the Midnight Bard. These have been the boys. Adios.
Later.
Bye.